I gave my twin brother my keys and asked him to water my plants. He watered my plants, slept in my bed, dated my girlfriend, and became me. Posted to r/true off my chest. I've been staring at my laptop for 3 hours trying to figure out how to even begin this. I keep typing sentences and deleting them because nothing captures the absolute surreal nightmare my life has become in the past 6 weeks. But I need to get this out somewhere, even if it's just into the void of the internet, because if I don't, I think I might lose my mind. I, 31M, just returned from a 2-year overseas work contract. The kind of opportunity that comes once in a lifetime, a career-defining project in Singapore that would set me up for the next decade professionally. I'm a structural engineer specializing in sustainable high-rise design, and this was the project that could make my name in the industry. I left everything behind: my apartment, my city, my relationships. And I left it all in the care of the one person I trusted more than anyone else in the world. My twin brother. We're identical. Not just similar, identical. Same height, same build, same face, same voice. Growing up, we used to joke that we were 2 halves of the same person. We'd finish each other's sentences, know when the other was hurting without being told, cover for each other when we got in trouble. He was my best friend, my confidant, my other half. When I got the job offer in Singapore, he was the first person I called. He was so proud of me. He helped me pack. He drove me to the airport. And I gave him my keys. Just watch over the place, I said. Water the plants. Check the mail. I'll be back before you know it. I trusted him completely. Why wouldn't I? He was my twin. He was me. I landed back home 6 weeks ago, exhausted from the flight but buzzing with excitement. 2 years of grueling work, incredible experiences, and professional growth, and now I was finally home. I'd already started making plans in my head. I'd reconnect with old friends, settle back into my apartment, maybe even reach out to my ex to see if the spark was still there. I took an Uber from the airport directly to my building. Walked up the familiar stairs. Stood outside my door, the same door I'd walked through 1,000 times, and felt this overwhelming wave of home. I knocked. I don't know why I knocked. It was my apartment. But something felt off. The welcome mat was different. There was a new plant by the door. The door opened. And my ex-girlfriend was standing there. For a moment, I thought I was hallucinating. Jet lag, exhaustion, whatever. Because why would she be in my apartment? We'd broken up before I left. A mutual decision, painful but necessary. Long distance wouldn't work, we'd both agreed. But we'd also talked about what might happen when I came back. We'd left that door open. "Hey," I said, confused but smiling. "What are you doing here?" She stared at me like I was a ghost. Her face went pale. And then I heard footsteps behind her, and my brother appeared in the doorway. My brother. In my apartment. With my ex-girlfriend. And they both looked at me with the same expression, like I was the intruder. Like I was the one who didn't belong. "What are you doing here?" my brother asked. 3 words. 6 syllables. And my entire world collapsed. Update 1. The full picture. It's been a week since I posted the original, and I need to give you all some more context because the situation is so much worse than I initially understood. When I stood in that doorway, staring at my brother and my ex, I genuinely thought there had been some kind of misunderstanding. Maybe he was just checking on the place and she'd come by to drop something off. Maybe this was some cosmic coincidence. My brain was doing gymnastics trying to make sense of what I was seeing. Then I looked past them, into the apartment. It wasn't my apartment anymore. The furniture was different. The walls had been repainted. My books were gone, replaced with his. My artwork, my photographs, my carefully curated collection of things that made a space feel like mine, all of it had been erased. In its place was his life. His stuff. His existence. "What the hell is going on?" I asked. My brother had the audacity to look annoyed. "I thought you weren't coming back until next month. The project finished early. Why does that matter? Why are you living in my apartment?" And then my ex spoke, and her voice was small and confused. "Wait, you're coming back?" he said. "He told me you weren't coming back." I felt like I'd been punched in the stomach. "What do you mean he told you I wasn't coming back?" She looked between us, between him and me, and I watched the color drain from her face as she started to understand something she hadn't understood before. Here's what I pieced together over the following days. My brother didn't just watch my apartment. About 3 months after I left, my lease came up for renewal. Instead of forwarding me the paperwork or letting me know, he contacted the landlord directly. He told them I wasn't returning and that he wanted to take over the lease. He signed it in his own name. He moved in permanently. He redecorated the entire space. He made it his. And then he started pursuing my ex. He told her I wasn't coming back. That I'd moved on. That I'd found someone else overseas and wasn't interested in reconnecting with her. He said I'd told him to tell her this because I was too much of a coward to say it myself. All lies. Every single word. My ex said he told her I wasn't coming back. That I'd moved on and found someone else. He lied to steal her. And it worked. She was heartbroken. Vulnerable. And there was my brother, looking exactly like me, sounding exactly like me, sharing so many of my mannerisms because we'd grown up mirroring each other, offering her comfort. Telling her he'd always thought she was special. Telling her he understood why I'd loved her. They'd been together for 18 months. 18 months of him sleeping in what should have been my bed, with a woman who should have been waiting for me, in the life that should have been mine. I gave him my keys and asked him to water my plants. He watered my plants, slept in my bed, dated my girlfriend, and became me. But that's not even the worst part. Update 2. The professional betrayal. I thought finding out about my ex would be the bottom. I was wrong. There were depths I hadn't even imagined. After the confrontation at the apartment, which ended with me walking away because I was too stunned to do anything else, I started making calls. Old colleagues. Friends in the industry. People I'd stayed in touch with during my time overseas. The first call was to my mentor from graduate school, a man who'd been instrumental in my career development. He answered warmly. "Great to hear from you. I saw you at the Sustainable Architecture Summit last spring. You were looking well. That presentation you gave on the Henderson project was fantastic." I hadn't been at any summit last spring. I was in Singapore. I hadn't given any presentation on the Henderson project. The Henderson project was something my brother had worked on at his firm. My blood went cold. "Can you describe what I was wearing?" I asked. "At the summit?" He laughed. "What a strange question. I don't know, a blue suit? You had your hair a bit longer than usual." Why? My brother had been wearing my identity to industry events. We're identical twins. People couldn't tell. He'd been networking as me for 2 years. He'd been shaking hands with my contacts, making promises in my name, giving presentations and accepting congratulations for work that wasn't his. People at industry events called me by his accomplishments. He'd been networking as me for 2 years. I don't even know what he said or promised. Over the next week, I made more calls. I discovered the full extent of it. He'd attended at least 7 major industry events as me. He'd been invited to speak on panels because of my reputation and had used those opportunities to promote his own projects while wearing my name. He'd accepted an award on my behalf, an award I hadn't even known I'd won, and had given an acceptance speech thanking people I'd never met for opportunities I'd never been given. He'd built an entire shadow version of my professional life while I was gone. And because no one could tell us apart, no one questioned it. When I confronted him about this, over the phone because I couldn't stomach seeing his face again, he was dismissive. "I was just keeping your presence alive in the industry," he said. "You were gone. People would have forgotten about you. I did you a favor. You committed identity fraud. I went to some parties and shook some hands. Don't be dramatic. You accepted an award in my name. And I said nice things about you in the speech. You're welcome." The complete absence of remorse was staggering. He genuinely didn't see anything wrong with what he'd done. In his mind, he'd been helping. In his mind, he was entitled to my life because I'd left it behind. He didn't just take my apartment. He took my girlfriend, my identity, my reputation. He tried to become me because he couldn't be himself. Update 3, the family. I need to tell you about my parents, because this is the part that broke me the most. When I discovered everything, the apartment, my ex, the professional identity theft, I called my mother. I needed someone in my corner. I needed my family to understand the magnitude of what had happened. She already knew. Not all of it. She didn't know about the industry events and the identity fraud. But she knew about the apartment. She knew about my ex. She'd known for over a year. "Why didn't you tell me?" I asked. "We didn't want to upset you while you were so far away," she said. "And honestly, sweetheart, we thought it would work itself out by the time you got home." Work itself out? He stole my apartment. He's dating my ex-girlfriend after lying to her about me. There was a long silence. Then, "Your brother was lonely. You left him. You abandoned him for 2 years. What did you expect?" I couldn't breathe. I didn't abandon him. I took a job. A career-defining opportunity that lasted 2 years. How is that abandoning him? You two have always been together, she said, and her voice had taken on that defensive tone I knew so well, the tone she used when she was protecting him. And then you just left. You left him behind to go live your exciting life overseas, and he was stuck here, alone, feeling like half of himself was missing. My parents said I abandoned him. I took a job that lasted 2 years. And somehow I'm the villain for not being there while he stole my entire life. My father's reaction was worse. He told me I was being selfish for making a big deal out of this. He said my brother had obviously made some mistakes, but that blood is thicker than water, and I needed to find a way to forgive him and move on. Forgive him? I said. He committed crimes. He committed fraud. He stole my identity. He's your twin, my father said. He's the other half of you. You can't just cut him out. But that's exactly what I decided to do. And more than that, I decided to stop fighting for things that had already been taken and start fighting for something more important, the truth. Update 4. The strategy. I spent 2 weeks in a fog of grief and rage. I was staying in a hotel, going through the motions of existence while my mind raced through scenarios of what I should do. Confront him again. Hire a lawyer. Try to get my apartment back. Fight for my ex. But then I had a realization that changed everything. I couldn't get my apartment back. Even if I could prove what he'd done, even if the landlord took my side, that space was contaminated now. I couldn't walk through that door without seeing him there. I couldn't sleep in that bed knowing he'd slept there with my ex. Every inch of that apartment was poisoned with his presence. And my ex. God, this one hurts to admit. But I couldn't look at her either. Not because she'd done anything wrong. She was manipulated, lied to, victimized just as much as I was. But she'd been with him. With someone wearing my face, using my voice, sharing my mannerisms. For 18 months. How could I ever touch her without thinking about his hands? How could I ever kiss her without wondering if she'd compare us? They were both gone. The apartment and the woman. Contaminated beyond recovery. But there was something else. Something more valuable. The truth. My brother had spent 2 years building a professional network using my name. He'd made connections, forged relationships, created opportunities, all while pretending to be me. And every single one of those connections was based on a lie. I started making a list. Every event he'd attended as me. Every person he'd met. Every handshake, every business card, every LinkedIn connection, every follow-up email. I gathered as much information as I could from colleagues who'd seen me at various events. I cross-referenced with my brother's actual professional history, the projects he'd worked on, the firm he worked for, the trajectory of his career. The picture that emerged was damning. While I was overseas working on one of the most prestigious sustainable architecture projects in Asia, my brother's actual career had stagnated. His firm had passed him over for promotions twice. He'd lost a major client due to missed deadlines. His reputation in the industry, his real reputation, under his real name, was mediocre at best. So he'd borrowed mine. He'd used my name to network his way into opportunities that his own name couldn't get him. He'd used my credentials to lend credibility to his projects. He'd essentially parasitized my professional identity to prop up his failing career. And now everyone he'd deceived was going to know. I crafted a careful, professional email. No emotion. No accusations of stealing my girlfriend or taking my apartment. Just facts. I explained that I had been overseas for the past 2 years working on the Singapore project. I explained that my identical twin brother had, without my knowledge or consent, been attending industry events using my identity. I listed the specific events, the specific dates, the specific interactions that had been reported to me. I apologized for any confusion this may have caused and clarified that I had not made any professional commitments or promises during my time overseas, as I had not been present at any of these events. I included my project timeline from Singapore, complete with documentation, photographs, and testimonials from my overseas colleagues. Proof that I couldn't possibly have been at those events. And then I sent it to every single person on my list. 247 emails. Every contact my brother had made while wearing my face. Update 5. The aftermath. It's been 3 weeks since I sent the emails. I want to tell you what happened. The response was immediate and overwhelming. Within hours, my phone was buzzing with calls and messages from people in the industry who were shocked, sympathetic, and, in many cases, furious. Not at me. At him. It turns out my brother hadn't just been networking as me. He'd been making promises. He'd told potential clients that I would consult on their projects. He'd told collaborators that I would contribute to proposals. He'd leveraged my reputation to secure opportunities that he then either fumbled or abandoned entirely. People had been confused for months about why I wasn't following through on commitments. Some had assumed I was unprofessional. Others had written me off entirely. My brother's impersonation hadn't just stolen my identity, it had been actively damaging my reputation in ways I hadn't even discovered yet. But now they knew the truth. The professional community is smaller than you'd think. Word spread fast. Within a week, everyone knew what my brother had done. And the consequences were swift. His firm conducted an internal review and discovered he'd been using company time and resources to attend events as me, events where he'd been soliciting business that he then brought to them without disclosing how he'd acquired it. They terminated him for ethics violations and fraudulent misrepresentation. 3 clients he'd secured under my name withdrew their contracts when they learned the truth. His professional certifications are now under review by the licensing board due to conduct unbecoming of a licensed engineer. His career, his real career, the one he'd neglected while he was too busy being me, is effectively over. I also had a long conversation with my ex. She reached out to me about a week after the emails went out. She'd been doing her own investigation, going through text messages and emails, piecing together the timeline of my brother's lies. She was devastated. He showed me messages, she said. Messages he said were from you, saying you'd moved on, that you didn't want me. But I looked at them again, and they were all from his phone. He never showed me anything actually from you. He just told me what you'd supposedly said. And you believed him? He's your twin, she said, and her voice cracked. He looks exactly like you. He sounds exactly like you. He knew things about our relationship, about our inside jokes, about our history. Why would I doubt him? I don't blame her. I want to be clear about that. She was victimized just as much as I was. More, in some ways. She'd spent 18 months in a relationship built on a foundation of lies, with a man who'd only wanted her because she was mine. But I can't be with her. She understands. We had a long, painful conversation about it, and she understands. There's too much damage. Too much contamination. Every time I look at her, I see his shadow. I hear his lies. I imagine his hands where mine used to be. She's moving away. Fresh start. I wished her well and meant it. My parents finally called last week. I didn't answer. They left a voicemail, my mother crying, my father's voice tight and defensive, saying they'd had no idea how serious the situation was, that they were so sorry, that they wanted to work through this as a family. I haven't called them back. I don't know if I will. What I do know is that I'm leaving this city. I've accepted a position with a firm across the country, a fresh start in a place where no one knows me except for my actual work, my real reputation, my real accomplishments. I leave next week. My brother tried to contact me yesterday. He sent a long text message that I read once and then deleted. It was full of justifications and excuses and self-pity. He talked about how hard it was being left behind, how painful it was watching me succeed while he struggled, how he'd just wanted to feel what it was like to be me for a while. I didn't respond. Here's what I've learned from all of this. My brother and I were close once. Genuinely close. I trusted him with everything. My home, my life, my identity. And he violated that trust in ways I'm still discovering. He didn't just take my apartment or my girlfriend. He tried to take me. He tried to become me because he couldn't handle being himself. But here's the thing about stolen lives. They're never really yours. Every connection he made was fake. Every relationship he built was a lie. Every opportunity he secured was based on borrowed credentials. He spent 2 years constructing an elaborate fantasy where he was me, smarter, more successful, more desirable, and the moment the truth came out, it all collapsed. I lost things in this process. I lost my apartment, which was just a space but felt like home. I lost my ex, who was a good person caught in an impossible situation. I lost my parents, at least for now, because they chose to excuse the inexcusable. I lost my twin brother, the other half of myself, the person who was supposed to know me better than anyone, the person who instead chose to erase me and take my place. Those losses are real, and they hurt. But I also gained something, clarity. I know who I am now. Not in the abstract, philosophical sense, in the concrete, practical sense. I know my worth. I know my capabilities. I know what I've accomplished through my own hard work and talent. And no one can take that from me, no matter how much they look like me. My brother wanted my life so badly that he stole it. But a stolen life is still a copy. I can build a new original. He can only ever be a fake version of me. Final update. 1 month later. I'm writing this from my new apartment in a new city, 3,000 miles from everything that happened. The boxes are still mostly unpacked, the walls are bare, and I'm sleeping on a mattress on the floor because my furniture hasn't arrived yet. It's the happiest I've been in years. I started my new job last week. The firm is smaller than my previous one, but the projects are exciting, and my colleagues know me, really know me, as myself. No shadow of my brother here. No confusion about who I am. Just me, doing the work I love, building something that's truly mine. I got a message from a colleague back home yesterday. Apparently, my brother has been telling people that I orchestrated a smear campaign against him, that I ruined his life out of jealousy. Some people believe him. Most don't. I don't care either way anymore. The thing about twins is that people assume you're two halves of the same whole. That you're incomplete without each other. That you share some mystical bond that transcends normal sibling relationships. But we're not halves. We're whole people who happen to share a womb. And when one whole person decides to consume the other, to take their life, their identity, their future, the bond doesn't matter anymore. I had a brother once. A best friend. A mirror image. Now I have a stranger who wears my face. And I have a life that's finally, completely, irrevocably my own. He wanted to be me. Now he can live with being the man who tried. I'll take my original life over his counterfeit version any day. Edit. Thank you for all the support and messages. Some people have asked if I'm pursuing legal action. I've consulted with an attorney, and there are options: identity fraud, tortious interference with business relationships, possibly more. But right now, I'm focused on building my new life rather than tearing down his old one. The truth already did most of that work for me. The best revenge, as they say, is living well. And for the first time in a long time, I'm actually doing that. Here's what I learned about identity. No one can take who you are, no matter how much they look like you. I gave him my keys and asked him to water my plants. He watered my plants, slept in my bed, dated my girlfriend, and became me. My ex said he told her I wasn't coming back. That I'd moved on, and found someone else. He lied to steal her. People at industry events called me by his accomplishments. He'd been networking as me for 2 years. I don't even know what he said or promised. My parents said I abandoned him. I took a job that lasted 2 years. And somehow I'm the villain for not being there while he stole my entire life. He didn't just take my apartment. He took my girlfriend, my identity, my reputation. He tried to become me because he couldn't be himself. So I took the only thing worth fighting for, the truth. I sent 247 emails to every contact he'd made while wearing my face. The truth about who was really at those events. His career is over. His firm fired him. His clients left. His reputation is destroyed. He wanted my life so badly that he stole it. But a stolen life is still a copy. I can build a new original. He can only ever be a fake version of me.